Welcome back to another episode of What Are You Made Of with your boy, the unstoppable Mike C-roc. You can be unstoppable too. Just go get the book Rocket Fuel, my new book, Convert Setbacks, Become Unstoppable. The foreword was written by none other than Grant Cardone himself. He tells and shares what the rocket fuel concept has meant to him, his life, and his business. Go get that book at MikeCroc.com/book, MikeCroc.com/book, and become unstoppable. Today, I want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for the listenership and the following of the What Are You Made Of movement and the Rocket Fuel movement. I'm so thankful to have you guys as listeners and supporters. Today, I'm bringing on a friend of mine, Dr. Ben Lerner. He's the president and CEO of the Ultimate Influence Group. UIG owns, manages, and has invested in multiple companies and startups in tech, finance, marketing, real estate, manufacturing, consulting, and coaching. He has written 2 New York Times bestselling books, traveled to 4 Olympics as a U.S. teen doctor, and is a strategic advisor for CILA Labs, a tech development, go-to-market, and capital raising firm who I am now involved with as well. So we'll leave it there because there's some other things in here as well, which we'll get into in regards to the fact that you know about nutrition, psychology, and also chiropractic. Am I right?
You got it.
Right. So with that being said, welcome to the show, Dr. Lerner.
Great to be here, man.
So our paths have crossed now. And before I ask the question that we always start with, I just want to give the audience a little background here. But I ran into a guy named Jared Yellen on Instagram by DMing because I prospect through all these different direct messages or messaging platforms on all the social media platforms, because I just want to connect with people. It's not about selling something. It's just connecting with people and seeing what kind of relationship can be developed from there. And I just happened to run into Jared. We hit it off. And before you know it, we opened up a tech company, and come to find out you are one of the lead investors as well as advisors. And I think is also a CFO. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just started as their CFO here in the last couple of weeks.
Let's go. Congratulations, by the way. And so I got to meet you through that. And now we're all pushing in and we're on the same team going in the same direction, and which is a great thing, especially with your, I don't know if the correct word, but pedigree and experience. With matched up with my energy and Jared's brains and energy, and we can really become unstoppable. And I think that's where we are now. So before I go any further, Dr. Ben, what are you made of?
I would say I'm made of the desire to just keep getting better. So I'm back in school again. I'm getting my PhD. If you're going to keep progressing in the journey, you have to keep building your value, what worth you bring to the table, and your skill set. So it never stops. I'll get this PhD, probably move on to another PhD. I'll be learning to the day that I die.
I love it. What's behind that though? What's the reason that you do that?
Well, I'm trying to save the world. And so to touch the planet and make it a better place for all of us to be living in, you have to have new skill sets. So I start off, I'm very passionate about health. That's a long story with my dad dying very young and my mom having a stroke in her 40s and deciding I was going to not go down that same road, as well as help people not end up with that same terrible end either. And so that's where it started. But then as I realized I wanted to bring the message and the business globally, then I needed to learn more about running a company, become a better business person, master finance. So just one more educational process after another, one degree piled on top of another degree to keep building my base and building my just really the whole pot where I could be the biggest vessel possible to take on this big mission.
I love that. And how much of it has to do with feeling insecurities? So like, for example, you have a mission, you want to accomplish something, you want to take on this big challenge, but then you feel like it seems like sometimes that could be overwhelming, and then your insecurities can hit you and you feel it here a little bit. Do you notice that as you accomplish these things and learn more that these insecurities disappear?
Yeah, I mean, I'm clearly insecure. so there's no doubt that's part of it. But I think probably like you, when I feel that sense of insecurity, I push through it because I know that I can learn, I can grow, and I can conquer. So it's not that I don't feel it, but I'm willing to push through it. And again, the idea would be, what else do I need to learn? Not to think I can't, but just that to know that I can learn more and accomplish this. Even though, like I just last year started a skincare company, So I've been developing supplements for 20 years, but when I was approached to develop a skincare line, and it's this big national franchise, hey, can you create a line better than the one we have right now? I've never created a product in my life that's skincare. And I said, absolutely, I can create that line for you better than anything you've ever seen in your life. Inside is the insecurity, as you mentioned, but I know that I can overcome it, I can learn, and we can make it happen. Now we've got a great skincare line.
That's phenomenal, man. That is absolutely phenomenal. Cause I do that too. It's kind of committing first and figuring the rest out later.
Amen. But it takes faith in yourself, knowing you can do it.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing I love about the learning aspect is that you continuously raise your lid, and then you can go into any room and feel like you belong. And that's another thing, because there's been times in my life where I go into a room and I'm overwhelmed. And it's happening actually on Clubhouse. I'll go into certain rooms where people are big time real estate investors, or, multiple companies, all these different things that I'm going in and thinking to myself, man, I need to level up. And so I don't shy away from those things. I go to those rooms on purpose to feel like that, because I like that I don't like that feeling. I like getting out of that feeling. And instead of running from it, like you said, I lean into it. And so take us back. You can take us back as far back as diapers, or anytime further. Take us back and tell us a little bit about how you grew up, and what it was like, where you were from, and all that, and what ingredients went into you.
Yeah, and I'll lead up to like a hockey stick moment, because I came from a relatively poor family. As I mentioned, my dad died very young. My mom had a stroke very young. So we kind of watched our parents killing themselves. You could see my mom and dad both did the thing where as your one cigarette was ending, you lit the next cigarette with the one you're smoking currently. And so just really, really you could see they're just murdering themselves. And we struggled with that all of our lives as kids, me and my two brothers. So I really got into health and fitness and sports early on, and knew I wanted to get into the healthcare field. And so then I became a nutritionist, and then I became a chiropractor. And those were my first two degrees, and had a very successful practice, and thought, this is great. I'm set for life. I'm doing very well. But then when my dad died about a year or two into my first practice there, that's when things hockey sticked. I realized I can't just keep what I know to my local community. I've got to go beyond. Somebody encouraged me to write a book, and that book became a New York Times bestseller, became an Australian booksellers bestseller, Canadian bestseller, China bestseller. So I began to travel the world with this message about how to stay alive and healthy and have the body that you need to fulfill your purposes. That's when it became, a brand, and it turned into 125 franchises in the supplement manufacturing business. But it all hockey sticked with mission when I decided it can't just be about me and my local community. I got to go touch the world.
Yeah. So it looks like to me, when I see super successful people, it's their mission or purpose, passion, with proper, like, the physiology lined up. And when you do those three things, it feels like that's the combination for unstoppability, if that's a word. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was kind of more transactional at the beginning. It's like, I got a career. I'm going to bring in a patient. There's a transaction financially for me to take care of you. And we built a nice little business. But once, again, that tragic event happened, it became a mission. I grew passionate about it. I committed my life to it. And then it not only blew up, but as I've been saying, it made me committed to continuously improving myself and getting whatever education necessary to get this message out there in the greatest way possible.
Yeah. And I see when you just raised your arms, you have some guns too. So I noticed that. So you do lift?
Well, yeah. So, again, watching how unhealthy my parents were, I committed myself to being the first learner with abs. And then also recognizing that, a big part of my life is that as you age, that you can actually get stronger, healthier, more fit. So I'm 54 now. I was a college All-American in wrestling, but I could kick my college All-American ass right now at 54, because I've just gotten stronger and more fit as I've aged. And that's something that we teach, that you're not stuck by a circumstance. You're not doomed by your genetics. You can get better. You can learn more, make, improved lifestyle decisions, and you have something to say about your future.
Now, when you went on this mission and you had this purpose after your father passed away, did you encounter people that were discouraging you, or people not understanding exactly what you're trying to do. So to the point where you had to figure out, like, I need to understand these people are more reflecting upon themselves than me. Did you run into any discouragement from friends, close people to you, or others?
Yeah, just I'm, being mission minded. I'm thinking about serving others. I'm thinking about making a difference in the planet. It became, as you said, mission based. We call it. We talked about even transcending the mission to do something greater than you could have ever imagined. And a lot of people were just, obviously pointing towards, well, listen, just make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure that you're uh, self-preserving, self-preserving. And that was, unfortunate because, I was like, no, I'm going to reach the world. I don't have to worry about myself. Myself will get taken care of in the process. And so, as a result, I became, very wealthy, while not ever doing anything for the money, never thinking about the money for a second. So while everybody told me to focus on the money, including, accountants, financial planners, I focused on the purpose and the mission, and then made, a lot of money.
Now, but was the money part of the goal or planning?
I've become very, as I learn business, I become, as we mentioned, I'm the CFO of CILA now. So I spend a lot of my time reviewing P&Ls and cash statements and bank accounts and setting up dashboards for companies. So I become very economically minded, but not driven by the money. I'm just not somebody who, loves cars or fancy watches. I do like to make money, but it's more because I believe in the prospect of business and making a difference. And that's really always been my driver, making the difference. But I think it's almost immoral not to profit as much as it's supposed to, because that's just the right way a business is supposed to run. And you need those resources to keep multiplying your business and keep heading towards that ultimate purpose.
Yeah, there's scaling and providing jobs for people to help with the mission, but there's also purposes of helping people and charitable work, right? And philanthropy. And you can't do any of that unless you're successful. So people a lot of times, they start to get on you about how much money you make, or how well the business is doing, how much you're putting time in and effort and obsession with your purpose and mission. But they don't think about that other stuff. It's a real selfish way to look at things sometimes, just getting by or just doing enough. And I love that. One thing I noticed when I got my mission and became passionate about what I'm trying to do, I didn't care about cars or watches or anything either. Like I don't, the only thing I care about is how can I impact more people? How can I get known and network with more people to have a bigger impact? And all the money that I make now, besides taking care of my needs, my family's needs, and putting away for, investments, goes into this mission instead of cars and watches and all that stuff, So it's amazing how that happens. And I never realized that would be a situation until I started really getting clear on my purpose.
Yeah, and Tesla just mentioned something because he was came out in the news about a week ago because he bought like 1.5 billion in Bitcoin. But then he was interviewed. He said, "Listen," he goes, "I don't like Bitcoin. I don't believe in Bitcoin. It was just a better place to put money than in cash." He goes, "But I invest in Tesla. I invest in myself and our business because that's the mission I am here to accomplish."
Yeah, I sit down with my wife every so often. We go over our finances. I say every so often, it's weekly. And she's like, "You made how much money last year?" And I tell her, and she goes, "Where is it all?" And I'm like, listen, sweetie, I invest in myself and my businesses. And I don't want to I have a cushion, but I don't want to have as big a cushion as you think we need or anybody else thinks we need, because this keeps me going. I always, like, no matter how good it gets, I always want to have this energy and this drive. I don't want to say grinding like I'm broke, like Meek Mill says in the hip hop song, but kind of like that, because I think my kryptonite is comfortability and complacency. And that's stuff that creeps up on you when it goes in through the cracks of concrete. And then you don't feel it necessarily until it freezes and it expands. And at that moment, you're like, "Oh shit, I let it in." What is your
Yeah,
kryptonite? Oh, go
we
ahead. Go
actually
ahead.
we teach zero out your accounts. So I still open up clinics and we zero out the accounts because, like, listen, get back to work. It's March 1st. Go out and grow the clinic again. So every month is really starting anew to stay focused. So if you keep those operating accounts packed with cash, then you might get complacent, and you got to realize that you still got to go out there and go make money beyond your operating expenses. So there's plenty of cash flow so that you can feed your
Yeah.
family, and we keep this business going.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, because you don't realize it's happening. The complacency creeps. It's a sneaky little thing. So what's your superpower and what's your kryptonite, doctor?
So my superpower, I would say, is that I am anti-fragile. Meaning that when I look at something like this pandemic, which is obviously the context of a lot of what we deal with today, I look at how can I take the situation I'm in and accelerate as a result. So even my involvement with CILA, obviously making things that are tech based, that is the now and the future. And I don't know that I would have gotten so deep into technology if it wasn't for what we've been going through this last year. So being anti-fragile, actually taking difficult situations and making more of them. So you're my age, you've been through a lot of crises. This is a really bad one, but we had financial crisis in 2008, we had 9/11. We've had a lot of trouble, but I've always accelerated during those times, not allowed the environment to come in and crush or destroy me. So I'd say that's definitely the superpowers. I thrive on chaos. I would call myself a master of change and a master of volatility. Not somebody who's destroyed by it in any way. I would say my kryptonite is probably that I'm obsessed with moving forward. Obsessed with growth. I stay pretty focused on the work. So I have to really map it out in my time management. Like here's personal time, here's vacation time, here's family time. I've got to be very disciplined in my time management, or I'll just think about work 24/7, 365.
Yeah, yeah, I'm similar to that. And I do intention statements for not just finance, but my family, and not just saying I want to be the best father, I want to be the best husband. I used to do that, but what does that mean, right? And this goes for business and finances as well. Like you cannot do generalities. You got to be specific. I want to spend an hour of alone time with my wife. Not that I need an hour. I don't like last that long, but no, I want to spend some time with my wife, watching TV and talking and whatever. No kids around. Kids, 30 minutes, specifically 30 minutes alone time with each child, and pay attention to that child. And given so getting really granular with it has helped me big time. But I don't know if you're like me, but when you do go away to, let's say you go to a resort for a vacation or a getaway, are you able to relax and just sit on the beach for any length of time?
Yeah, so I mean, I can, I realize you have to go recharge the battery. So of course, it takes you a little bit to unwind. I am somebody that will get up before everybody else and check emails and return some texts and things like that. But I also realize that if I don't recharge the battery, I won't stay as effective as I need to be. Because you had said something when we talked the first time. We were talking about the new company you're building through CILA, and you said, just I want to know what you're supposed to do to make that the biggest company you've ever built. Like you want to know how you are going to take this thing to a billion. You're going to make it happen. But to do that, you also realize at some point you do need the energy, the creative space, to make all that work. And so you do need breaks. So I have
Yeah.
a decent ability to go lie on a beach and think about nothing as a result.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. I just recently started doing this with my calendar because I know what's coming. I know I have an idea what's coming. I'm done writing my first book's coming out. So I started taking my calendar with my assistant and saying, all right, let's clear out anything that we don't need. Even though we thought we needed before, let's clear it out. Let's get some creative time and not feel guilty about creative time. Because sometimes there's something in there, that little voice that says, hey man, you should be doing something. But creative time is a legit thing. So yeah, I love that. So once you got involved with tech, you told me the story before about Jared. He kept coming to you about a product, and he's a very good salesperson. He is persistent. That's one thing I like about Jared. So you got involved with him, and then how does that relationship developed into what it is now with CILA Labs?
Yeah, so I learned to appreciate what Jared initially that I know you would like is that persistence. So when he grew that company Cinduit to what it is today, he went through a lot of evolutions, including going through a financial crisis where they had spent over $1 million in technology and it failed. So he has never stopped getting better, never stopped rebuilding, never stopped improving the technology to get it to where now they have 40,000 users, that are part of them every month. So when he then got into CILA, he created the very first product, which is literally it creates courses. A company called Wazant. So that product, they were just beginning to promote it. This was many months ago, and I looked at it, and it replaces for the people I know, my clients. it's about $20,000 worth of work you get for free to create a course and get it out there and market it. So I saw this and contacted him because, again, we had known each other from the Synduit days. I said, listen, I'd like to help you with this product. I'd like to help you get it out there because I see this meeting this important need and helping all these people with a great message overcome this $20,000 barrier and actually sell it, because the average person who creates a course only sells an average of one. So they're overcoming that too. So I want to help you get this out there. And as I explained my plan, he was sort of fascinated that I already had a plan. I had a way to get it out there. He said, how would you like to help us out on a bigger scale with the whole company? And that's where I decided to invest and come on as an advisor. And it's evolved now into being a CFO. And Jared really is an absolute genius. He's definitely got immense IQ. He's insanely prolific. He writes volumes a day and just doesn't stop, has boundless energy. But I trust his character, and just watching with his family, he really protects his dad time. Like you said, really protects his time with his wife. He's just a phenomenal guy.
I know, and that's one thing that really, besides the business side of it, that's what I love. I love being around people that value that same thing, similar values, and it aligns well. And I believe when you start putting people together that align well, man, we have no idea what our potential is. Like we're climbing this mountain. I always talk about this mountain, and we can't see the top because there's a layer of clouds, but we just keep going until we can poke our heads eventually through that to see what it is. But I love being around people like that, man. It fires me up. It removes all the other negative stuff out of my life, the doubts and all that kind of stuff, because there's a lot of that out there. And there's a lot of people that don't think the way we do. And if you hang around it too much, it starts to affect you. That's phenomenal. I'm just so damn excited to be a part of what you guys have going on and to add to it. Because I think that with the rocket fuel that I have, we can even push it even a little harder than what you guys can. How did you come up with the plan for him about Wazant, though? The thing that you went over with him, like, where did that come from? The plan that you had that you presented to him?
Yes. So obviously in the consulting space, the natural health care provider space, people who are trying to build their personal brand, everybody looking to make money online. To do that, you've seen a lot relative to building funnels and having a course in your funnel and then running your ads to drive people to your funnel. So I've been involved in a lot of that. I spent $70,000 on a course called 0 to a Million. It's a course I built. We had a great cast of characters that provided content for that course and went through the whole process of promoting it. And it was $70,000. So when I saw that Wazant was going to be free and do the same thing and promote it for me and open it up to networks like yours, so to connect with other founders like you who have large networks, I realized the brilliance of it. And so what I was going to help Jared do, and obviously am still doing that, but now from the inside, is to connect to the different networks that are out there of consultants and coaches and authors and all the people that really need to have courses and need to build funnels and get their message out there, people with very important messages, but don't have the $20,000 to $70,000 to spend. So it's really breakthrough technology, but also world-changing technology, because a lot of us have some amazing story to tell, but just no great way to get it to the public.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. So do you still wrestle at all?
So I still am really involved in martial arts. I did, so my oldest son wrestled. So I was his coach. So I coached at the high school level. Of course, I traveled the world with the Olympic wrestling team and did coaching and helped them with their performance, lose weight, train, get in shape, as well as get them adjusted as their chiropractor. So I did that again through about 8 Olympics and another dozen world championships. If there's another, you're talking about Achilles heels or my kryptonite, the only sports I'm good at are ones where you try to hurt other people. So don't put me on a golf course or put a tennis racket in my hand. I suck. But I'm good at putting you in a chokehold.
Yeah, I miss wrestling. I don't do it anymore. I golf. If I do anything, it's golf, and I lift and work out and all that. But I do miss wrestling. And my son is 14 now, and I don't know where he got it from, but he's a 5'11", 200 pounds, 14 years old. I'm 5'6" 3/4. So I don't know. He looks. Thank God he looks like me. But I'll wrestle around with him and stuff. But it's something that just never leaves your blood once it's in there, man. So, Dr. Ben, how can people reach you and engage with you further?
So they can actually go to drbenlerner.com and just learn more about me. And then, of course, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You can find me there as well and see everything that's happening. But if you go to CILALabs.com, you can see right into the heart of what we're doing next to make this world a better place.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Go support Dr. Ben Lerner. Guys, here's the thing. We have a thing called Blueprinted. It's a product that's coming out. I can't get into a lot of it yet because we're right in that window right now. Like very soon, we're going to be able to talk a lot about it. The MVP is going to be ready soon. I'm fired up to get this out to you guys because I know the disruption this is going to cause. And we have a powerful team behind us that can move fast as well. So I'm excited. Just keep listening to the podcast for details. Final question, Dr. Ben, final question. What does the concept of being able to turn setbacks into rocket fuel for your future, storing them in your tank instead of your trunk where it weighs you down, what has that meant to you in your life? And what does it mean for you going forward?
I mentioned earlier the idea of being anti-fragile. The opposite of that is being fragile. So if you've got a box that you're shipping with fragile ingredients, it's stamped fragile, and we know that it can't handle volatility. Anti-fragile is easy to measure. And that's when you go into a difficult circumstance, and as a result of that circumstance, you actually get better. That it actually becomes jet fuel is a great term for it. It becomes jet fuel to your future. So you're able to turn a bad president, a difficult economy, or even a pandemic into opportunity that changes your life and makes a better difference in the world.
Love it, man. Well said. Well said. Thank you very much for coming on the show. I look forward to developing the relationship that we have with Jared and the team, man. It's just an exciting time and just happy to be a part of it, man.
Yeah. Blueprint. Looking forward to it.
Let's go. Let's go. All right, guys, you've been listening to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy, the unstoppable Mike C-roc. And I will say the unstoppable Dr. Ben Lerner as well. I don't usually say that about the guests, but he is definitely in that category. Keep coming back. Subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Or if you'd like to watch these, go to YouTube and go to Mike C-roc, Ciorrocco, and watch these episodes. Until next time, guys, be unstoppable.